is nothing if your people keep dying of disease and starvation. The power is nothing if your people have no peace. No peace. The power is nothing if your people cannot live in unity. Hey. See why you keep on deceiving the people, my brother, my sister. See why you make all these people to they fight one another. Oh no, only God can judge you now. 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 Another year has come, and now you want my vote once more. Oh no, it be like say they want to tell me another story again. It be like say they want to act another movie again. It be like
Mainland 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial. 98.3 FM. Don't touch the dial.
When your whole world comes crashing down, is look up. Assemble the team.
It's showtime.
The brains. Wake it up.
What'd you have for breakfast?
We are the sound of Lagos, and this is Mainland 98.3 FM.
You didn't see that coming, did you?
Good morning to you. Welcome to Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. My name is Sage Babalola. Of course, it's time for Trends in the Papers, where we take you through all the reports on the front pages of our dailies. We have our papers with us, of course. We're going to provide you with information. And of course, it's Throwback Thursday, which means that you would enjoy the soothing sounds of music from the ages. We're going to remind you of all the exciting music that you probably have forgotten about. But before we get to all of that, it's important that we are very well aware of what is going on in the polity. So of course, in order to do that, we have to review the information that has been put forward by different editors of our different newspapers. I'm not going to be doing this by myself, of course. Sometimes we need to put context to some of the headlines that we reel out to you, and that is why we always have analysis attached to these headlines as we provide them for you. Of course, in order to do that, we're going to be joined by an analyst, a voice you're quite familiar with, Fuhad, who will be with us in just a minute. So stick around, you would soon hear the voice of Fuhad. But before we're able to get Fuhad on the line, the Guardian newspaper, the Punch newspaper, of course, Vanguard, and finally the Nation newspaper is available for us to go through this morning. We're going to, of course, begin today's conversation with the Punch newspaper. All right, that's where we'll get our first set of headlines from. Also, please be reminded that we are live on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, Mainland 98.3 FM. We're streaming on those platforms, so you could definitely join us via those platforms. You can leave your contributions on there, and when it's time to take submissions, we will take your submissions. Please do well to follow us on Twitter as well, or X if you like, at Mainland FM. All right, I believe we have Fuad on the line now. Good morning, Fuad.
Yeah, good morning, Sage.
Yes. All right.
How are you doing?
Yes, I'm very well. Thank you. I've been better, but I'm okay. Thank you for asking. All right. So we have the papers here with us. Fuad, as expected, we have our top story, I believe, trending across all the papers. Finally, portfolios have been attached to the ministers designate, and the Punch newspaper is telling us the headline here: oil workers demand result as Tinubu heads petroleum ministry. Riders to the story: Umahi clinches works, Bagudu budget, Wike FCT, Oyetola transport, inauguration for Monday. Also here, manufacturers set agenda for industry minister. NECA says portfolios based on track record. All right, let's read through the story before we start to take these names and the portfolios attached to them one after the other. Now, oil workers have demanded result as President Bola Tinubu assigned the petroleum ministry portfolio to himself. Like his predecessor, the president will head the petroleum ministry, while a former senator, Heineken Lupobiri, is the minister of state petroleum resources. The president had on Wednesday unveiled the portfolio of 45 ministers 9 days after they were confirmed by the Senate in a week-long screening exercise. Let's leave this for just a few minutes, right, Fuhad, and go through the list. I believe you've seen it and you've scrutinized it, beforehand. And, it's a long list, right? But there are some names that definitely stand out, especially because of the portfolios that have been assigned to them or the ministries that have been assigned to them. Abubakar Kyari, for example, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security. And we have Bello Matawale for Minister of State Defense. Betta Edu, the doctor that we used as a reference for most of our previous analysis, was attached to the is attached as the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation. Dele Alake, Minister of Solid Minerals Development. Dave Umahi, Minister of Works. Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi. Minister of State, Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lokbobiri. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Fuhad, Wike, the first Southerner in 47 years, right? Amongst other names, Wale Edu, Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of Economy, amongst others. So, Fuhad, I'll just allow you have the floor. Give us the names, that really stood out for you. And are you comfortable with the portfolios that have been attached to this name based on track record and, their ability to perform in those ministries?
It's a mixed bag of so many things. What you have in that list. And eventually we now have portfolios attached to the ministerial names. A mixed bag of so many things. For people who are looking for square pegs in square holes or round pegs in round holes, what I think we have from this list, we have square pegs in round holes, we have triangle pegs in square holes, we have round holes in round pegs. It's a complete confusion. But
I'm thrown off, honestly.
It's a complete confusion you have here. But again, this is the choice of the president. Who are we to question it? He understands what he wants. He's the one taking the lead. He is giving direction to his government. And so we have to respect his choice and only hope that this particular choice made by the president, or these choices that have been made by the president, would give Nigerians the desired leadership that we have always wanted. But for those that stood out for me, or that stands out for me, not because they were properly done or not, but again, one needs to still talk about the decision of the president to, appoint this person for these different portfolios. Again, because of time, we'll not be able to dissect every of the appointments. I'm sure for me, Akiode will do that by 4
political roundtable on Sunday, Fuhad.
And then political roundtable on Sunday.
Right.
We have 2 hours to really delve into this list. At 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. But I think today, the head of the political desk at the Guardian newspaper, Mr. Deyemi, would also be with Opeyemi by 4 o'clock.
Wonderful.
To look, and I'm sure this is the list they will be considering. So, but again, we have so many other stories to consider. But Ministry of Defense, for me, I'm completely surprised.
Bello Matawale, really?
Not only Bello Matawale, that is Minister of State, the Junior Minister for Defense. And then you have Badaru, also a former governor from the Gawa State, as the main Minister for Defense. Again, because of the level of insecurity we have in the country, I was hoping that we're going to be getting somebody with a strong military background, strong security and military background, becoming the Minister of Defense at this time. We had always had some politicians in the past, and we knew that, look, they were really not doing much. There was a time I think we had Musi Obanikoro. There was a time we had Rabiu Kwankwan. So, and you could see that they struggled through. Always trying to learn what was happening with the military guys and all of that. But again, we have 2 former governors, and the questions as to why, again, we have them from the same region, the Northwest. Both coming from the Northwest and the North. There are people who have thought that, look, if we are going to have a minister and a junior minister heading the defense, because of the peculiarities of insecurity at this time, one should come from the North, while the other should come from the South. But again, there are questions we are going to throw up when we have enough time to dissect this list. Then the other shocking one for me is Adelabu for Power Ministry.
Right.
All we know of Adelabu, and that's why I said that for people who are looking for square pegs in square holes, round pegs in round holes, what we have here is a complete confused situation. We don't even know which hole to put each peg now. Adilabu, as far as I know, is a financial expert. And, his antecedents dates back to his activities at the CBN and all of that. Now, would have thought that again we are going to find a thoroughbred professional heading the power ministry, because of our current peculiarities. But there are people who feel that, well, he's a very brilliant man. He understands his onions when it comes to finance, the business side of everything. And maybe the former governor of Kaduna State, who was going to be the power minister, may have dropped the template for him. El Rufai was going to take that ministry, according to reports. But now he doesn't want it, it's out of the way. So maybe he has dropped his template for him. But again, I was quite surprised as to why Adilabu, the man that we know has been a financial expert, spent so many years in the banking world, was going to be thrown into the power ministry. We'll see how that works out. The other shocking one for me is Festus Keyamo in aviation.
I'm wondering what he knows. He's a lawyer, isn't he?
He's a lawyer, and again, he would have to now go into the aviation ministry. I was thinking that that's one sector that needs what you can call a thoroughbred technocrat who understands that industry. You probably have to learn on the job. Health is perfect for me. Ali Pate is an health expert to understand his antecedents. He'll be assisted by the man from Lagos State, Alausa. So that's a very perfect one. The Justice Ministry, Attorney General, Fagbemi, a perfect one, a perfect. For the Works Ministry, Dave Umai, not a problem. We've had a lot about what he has been able to do in Ebonyi. Building roads, changing the face of Ebonyi State and all of that. Another big problem here, because of time, because we need to move on. The list is out, so people can go out there, go look at it.
We'll put it on our social media platforms.
Well, I won't put it on our social media. People can go out there to, make their own opinion. Like I said, this is the choice of the president. I think we have to respect it.
Yeah.
We are again having a reputation of what happened during the Buhari administration. The president is now deciding to hold on to the petroleum ministry. A bit of reforms here because we now have Ministry of Gas Resources and Ministry of Petroleum. We have two junior ministers that will now be working with the president. I'll be waiting to see what Mr. DME will say this evening. That's the head of Political Desk Guardian newspaper when it comes by 4 o'clock. I remember that the last episode with Okwemi, he said something very instructive. That look, there is no serious president. A president of Nigeria with so much that he needs to attend to. So many things that would have to fall on his laps and his desk that would decide to become a minister. You'll be distracted. You probably will not be able to perform because there's a lot to sort out as a president. You have NDAs, ministries, you have a lot of things that comes to your desk as the president. So what should have been done is to get somebody who is a thoroughbred professional, becoming the Minister of Petroleum, and then working with these many junior ministers. But again, the reputation of what Buhari did, the president is decided to hold on to the Minister of Petroleum. We'll see how that pans out. Now, again, the reputation of ministers of state. It's Festus Keyamo.
Yeah.
At the end of the last administration,
it was illegal.
It was illegal, was not known to the law. We have a reputation of that. Festus Keyamo is a senior leader of Nigeria. He's now been chosen as a minister. Would he be telling the president to his face now? Would he be bold enough to tell the president, sir, what you are doing is illegal and unknown and alien to the law? Or would he just keep quiet and allow it pass as usual? So, like I said, it's a mixed bag of so many things. What I would say in summary is that we are hoping that these choices by the president would at least bring some succor to Nigeria. Would at least give us some semblance of good governance that Nigerians have been yearning for. Would transform the lives of Nigerians and make our lives better. But I must say, generally say, from the beginning of the nomination to the fact that portfolios were not attached ab initio, to the entire screening processes and confirmation process are now allocation of portfolio. I'm not impressed. I'm disappointed by the process. But again, we have to keep hope alive. Let's hope that these choices, like I said, deliver the good for Nigeria.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Fuhad. You heard we're going to post that list on our social media platform, so you can follow us on Twitter. Well, X. It's so hard to now start saying X, but you can follow us on X at Mainland FM.
That man should not disturb our brain.
It's so difficult to switch, but at Mainland FM, Facebook.
You know what? Like somebody said that when Elon Musk was changing Twitter to X, maybe he needed to ask Nigerians. Up to now, people still call the power sector NEPA.
Exactly.
Still call it NEPA.
Right. So,
but people should go and check out the list.
Yes. So put it on there. And please don't forget that we are still streaming Facebook, YouTube, Mainland 98.3 FM. You can join us via those platforms. So now we're moving forward. Still on the front page of the Punch newspaper. We have here, federal government tackles forex crisis with $3 billion loan. Atiku knocks Tinubu. Now, the story here says the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited on Wednesday announced that it had secured a $3 billion emergency crude oil repayment loan from the African Export-Import Bank. It said the loan would be used by the oil company to support the federal government in stabilizing Nigeria's exchange rate. It was also guarded that the facility would also help in reducing the pump price of premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol. So, providing further explanation about the loan, the senior special assistant to the president on digital new media, Ortega Ogra, now via his social media platform Twitter, he said the loan the exposure for NNPC is very limited. It's covering just a fraction of their entitlement. Additionally, there is no sovereign guarantees tied to this loan. He was also asked about the benefit of the loan to Nigeria. He said the loan will assist NNPCL in settling taxes and royalties in advance. It would also equip the federal government with necessary dollar liquidity to stabilize the naira with limited risk. With regards to disbursement, he says that the funds will be released in stages or tranches based on the specific need and requirement of the federal government. And regarding loan repayment, he said the loan will be repaid against a fraction of proceeds from future crude oil production. He calls it a strategic move that ensures a balance between our current economic needs and future production capacity. There are also lots of questions about how this is different from previous swap deals and what have you, and he provided answers to that. So maybe when you check a copy of the Punch, you can get, his answers to the numerous questions that have trailed this decision. So Fuad, we did hear the acting governor of the CBN, Shonubi, who says they're going to come up with certain initiatives, right? Yeah, they're going to intervene. I believe this is one of their intervention, techniques, right? They have borrowed $3 billion. So, are you comfortable with this loan, really? And do you think this is a maybe short-term or medium-term solution to the problem that we have?
Well, this is an intervention. It's not even a solution.
Well.
But when this news broke yesterday, what came to my mind?
Yeah.
Just imagine that there's no crude oil in Nigeria. What would have happened?
You should get times 2.
you know what I'm saying? Just imagine that Nigeria is one of those countries without crude oil. What would have happened to this country? Because, basically, let's just break this down. Let's forget all of the tourency. It's a very simple thing. What basically we have done, the intervention we have here is that, look, the NNPC are stepping to save the country because of the forex crisis. It's not their job, really. This is supposed to be the job of the CBN. What has now happened is that, look, from future sales proceeds of crude, NNPC has gone ahead to borrow $3 billion from African Exim Bank.
Yeah.
Basically, what that means is that from future crude sales up to 2030, they would deduct that money. So it's a loan that would have to pay from proceeds of crude oil. Of course, they will give us that kind of money because they know we have crude that we're going to sell. So basically, that now goes to the CBN, for liquidity in the forex market. The majorly speculators have mobbed up the scarcity of forex and all of that. So again, this resolves the issue temporarily. Like I said, it's a temporary intervention. It's not a solution. The solution fixes a problem. So the problem is not fixed yet. It's a temporary thing. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So what you now have is a situation again for people who are saying, oh, the NNPL has been private towards this. Now there are royalties that are supposed to pay the Nigerian government in taxes and remittances. So this also forms part of what they are supposed to pay the government. So, but the reality is this thing. Like I said, these are just knee-jerk approaches trying to quell the problem. These are the interventions that we'll continue to see. But ultimately, the government will still have to do the right thing. Because are we going to continue to borrow? To 20 naira. You understand? If forex scarcity happens again, liquidity becomes a problem in the forex market, we'll go borrowing again. Is that what we're going to continue to do? And that is why, for us to ensure proper liquidity, there are things that should be done. We know these things, and it is important that we make it the priority of this country. You know, basically what we are supposed to do is to put structures in place, put policies in place that will ensure that, look, we don't need to borrow, but end forex. You know, crude oil sales, we still have a problem with oil trade. We're not able to even meet our quota. That should have been one of the easiest measures for us to guarantee liquidity in terms of forex supply to Nigeria. That's one thing. The other is the fact that we need to fire back our industry to begin to produce. If we are able to balance our trade at the global scale, where we are not just import dependent, you know, to an extent where we can export and make a lot of forex, that would also help the market. The other one is for us to fix our refinery. Say, look, you know what will happen with this $3 billion, most likely?
What?
I can tell you that more than 50% of that money will now be spent and given to those that will be importing petrol into this country. Because they complain about lack of forex to import. So we have borrowed, but eventually we'll be using it for what? Consumption. Basically, we're using it to import PMS, you know, to stabilize prices.
Right.
For simple economics, it doesn't make sense. All of this would have been avoided against stage if we have functional refineries and we can refine locally. But like I said, government would have to intervene. The government knew it was going to become a problem if price of PMS had gone up, so they needed to do something. But like I said, we are in this situation because we are not doing the right things. These are knee-jerk monetary policies that will not solve the problem. We can continue to tinker with monetary policies to stabilize things, to defend the naira, to stabilize the market. But ultimately, we will still have to roll up our sleeves, pull up our shoes, and do the hard work, which we are not seen as a priority from this government. That's what we are saying. But whatever it is, good one that at least the government has intervened, we'll have some level of stability, but pretty soon we may be back to square one if we don't do the right thing.
Page 19 of the Punch newspaper, you find details of that story. Let's move to page 10. Headline reads, Naira rebounds, trades 850 Naira to $1 at the parallel market. Two related stories, I should add. The Naira has rebounded against the United States dollar at the parallel market on Wednesday, closing at 850 Naira to $1. This came about 2 days after the Central Bank of Nigeria announced its planned intervention in the foreign exchange market. The Naira was sold for around 950 to $1 at the parallel market on Monday. It gained further and closed at 915 to $1 on Tuesday. But a Bureau de Change operator, Alhaji Taufik Ahmed, who spoke to The Punch, says that we bought and sold Naira at 830 to $1 and 850 to $1 today. The demand was lower compared to last week. So, Fuhad, can we consider this, an evidence that their intervention might be fruitful at the end of the day?
Of course, if you are a speculator at this time and the news has hit you that the government has about $3 billion to pump into this thing, so you probably release what you have, because you'll be in for serious trouble. So these are the but like these are just temporary monetary policies that will not eventually solve the problem. We need to really fix the country, get the country working again, fire back our industry, start to refine locally, and scale up our priorities as a nation.
All right, then. More information on page 10 of the Punch newspaper. We're still talking about oil and our foreign exchange earning, because this headline here says Nigeria earned $742 billion oil revenue in 21 years. This is according to NATI. Now, Nigeria has earned $741.5 billion and 635.3 billion naira from the oil and gas and solid mineral sector, respectively. Now, this is between 1999 and 2020, a period of about 21 years. This is according to the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, which was announced on Wednesday. Now, apparently, as much as this sounds great, we're being told in this report that this actually amounts to losing over 140,000 barrels of crude that is valued at $10.7 million daily. NITI has also reported on subsidy payment from the years 2005 to 2021 and its huge negative consequences on the nation. So this is just a report by NITI. As you know, a lot of auditing has been going on. A lot of books by different ministries, even MDAs and organizations have been exposed. Well, I don't want to say exposed because it's not a secret, but it's been put forward. I was just trying to use euphemisms, right? So we've seen their book. So we earned a significant amount of money, but further analysis show that we actually did lose quite a lot. 140,000 barrels of crude valued at $10.7 million. Financial management, amongst other things. Fuhad, do you want to react briefly?
No. The story says it all. We apart from the fact that we lost a lot of money to crude theft.
Yeah.
I think in that report, what was missing basically is what we lost to corruption.
All right.
We lost. I'm sure more than 60% of whatever we earned was also lost to corruption. People, feel free. That is still ongoing anyway, because we're not really seeing anything different. We're not seeing any intentional effort by the government to tackle corruption for now, so far, until we begin to see a different direction. So it's not just about what you earn. It's again about how you appropriate, how you expend, and then the factors of corruption. That's why I keep questioning our corruption index. By the time you look at your corruption index, you understand why no matter what you earn, you really have nothing to show for it. You understand? Look at all the oil earnings, whatever the country has earned. There's still high insecurity, there's still serious infrastructure deficit. Power sector is still at the lowest. We are still over between 3,000 to 4,000 megawatts. You understand what I'm saying? Our hospitals are still not well equipped. Water is not even available. But as a young person, I had portable water. Our taps were running in Lagos here. Those taps are no longer running. The roads are still very, very bad. There's so much inflation. There's food insecurity. We have over 133 million Nigerians faced by multidimensional poverty. So in the midst of plenty, the people squalor in poverty. And that's the situation of Nigeria. And unfortunately, we are not seeing anything intentional to change that order. We hope that things will change. We hope that when these ministers are inaugurated on Monday, we'll begin to see a different thing as far as governance is concerned in Nigeria. We can only hope.
All right, then I share in your positivity, I guess, or your optimism. I hope Nigeria also shares in it. Right, page 20 of the Punch newspaper. If you're just joining us, welcome. Good morning to you once again. This is Mainland 98.3 FM. You're listening to Trends in the Papers. Basically, we're reviewing report on the front pages of our dailies. Fuhad Saheed is here with us virtually, giving analysis to the stories that are being reeled out to you this morning. My name is Sage Babalola. Again, we are live on Facebook and YouTube, so go on there, interact with us. You can watch us live. You can also drop your submissions on there. And at 8:40, when we come back for Mainland Focus, we would be taking your submissions. We're still reviewing the Punch newspaper, so please stay with us. All right, moving forward, we have here crash. Army chief deploys more soldiers in Niger. Villagers flee. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tariu Lagbaja, on Wednesday visited Niger State following the killings of soldiers by bandits in an ambush on Sunday. A Nigerian Air Force helicopter also crashed in the Shiroro area of the state on Monday, with bandits taking credit for it. Now, and the director, Army Public Relations, Oyema Wachuku, in a statement on Wednesday, has quoted the Army chief as urging troops to be more resolute in bringing the nation's adversaries to their knees. So, Fuhad, basically, because of our time, we're deploying foot soldiers to Niger because of the crisis going on in that state, the effrontery of these bandits to actually attack military personnel. And the report is telling us they're taking credit for, the Air Force helicopter that was shot down, among other things. Are you comfortable with these measures that are being taken, that maybe it's time for us to, take the fight to them, be more, should I say, instead of playing defense, maybe it's time for us to start playing offense?
Because again, I'll just take it from your question. If we are deploying troops to defend the people, or to go after these criminals. Because again, I don't think that this is supposed to be a complete onslaught. We're supposed to go after them completely. And until we wipe them out, it has to be a continuous effort. It's not just, 1 or 2 days, they run away and then, no. This is supposed to be a continuous battle against these criminals. Because you know what? The reports we are getting from Niger State is that, look, these guys are well grounded.
Yeah.
You know, look at the brazenness. See,
and they were well coordinated as well. Very coordinated. It wasn't a random attack.
Because again, for you to have been able to drop a chopper, whether through military gun or RPG or whatever means they used to have been able to, it is not mere criminals that is able to do that. So.
Yeah.
It's not the street robbers. These are terrorists. These are real time terrorists that we are dealing with here. And what we are hearing, there are also reports saying that these guys are close to the state capital of Mina. And at any time soon, we may be shocked to see them take over the capital city in Niger State, if nothing is done about them. You know that there are also reports that even Zamfara State, more than 400 communities are under the control of bandits as we speak. So, like I said yesterday with Sandra, we are dealing with a very big monster. I'm sorry, I think we should remove the word bandits from the name of this criminal. These are terrorists. Because any group of criminals that have the capacity to bring down a military chopper, that also has the capacity, to what's the word now? To kill our military personnel in their numbers. It shows that this is a well-coordinated set of criminals that we need to tackle headlong. And so when we begin to dance around kinetic and non-kinetic, I just shake my head. Look, let us take our kinetic means to a particular level, where they are the ones now seeking, surrender and non-kinetic solution from us. It should not be Nigeria throwing it at them. You don't understand. Right. You know that when you throw somebody to a point, is the one begging you to say, please,
let's talk about this. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you see governors, you still see some of these people here, the carrot and stick. I'm sorry, these guys, I think the only language they will understand now is the kinetic. We need to take the fight to them. So when you now take the fight to them, you push them to a point, they are the ones that will now be demanding for you to talk to them. They are begging for leniency and clemency, not you putting the options before them. So again, a very big one. Like I said, we have the NSA, no Ribad, who is already working. We have the chiefs, the service chiefs who are already working. They know that they have a serious work to do. Now we have 2 ministers of defense, the minister of state, that again I have my worries as to what they are going to be able to deliver. A Matawale, for example, was governor in Zamfara State. What was he able to do about the crisis in his state? The same man that is coming in is a former governor, very laid back. He's not really one of those governors that you say is so active. So, like I said, one was thinking that, look, go and check a country like the United States. For you to be appointed as the Secretary of Defense in the United States, you don't understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
For you to be appointed as Secretary of Defense, but again, this is about political compensation, political patronage, political positioning, but we can only hope. Amidst our disappointments and worry, we just continue to keep hope alive.
Fuhad, thank you very much. Page 7 of the Punch newspaper, you find more information. Let's move very quickly now. Miscreants terrorize Lagos communities. Government vows clamp down. We're also seeing a fair share of insecurity in Lagos State, as some residents of Lagos have expressed concern over increased activities of miscreants who extort or attack them in some part of the metropolis. Now, Punch reports that residents plying major routes like Ikeja Under Bridge, Berger, Agege, Penn Cinema, and others have been at the mercy of hoodlums who disposes the victims of cash, phones, and other belongings. Fuhad, I don't know if it wasn't you I was talking to, right? Daylight robbery has now become a common occurrence. People's shops are being boggled on the streets. Fuhad, people are being robbed on the streets, and it's just normal now. I'm with you, Fuhad. Yes.
We are under siege in this state. Miscreants, daylight robbery. You have touts taking over the whole city. There's hardly any part of Lagos that you get to now without seeing a form of convergence of touts smoking in their harassing people. The pedestrian bridges have become a no-no. You can't even use them. The inner streets have become a problem. They keep harassing people. Cultism are taking over the state. You know, because everything is linked together. Cultism, you know, what you can call daylight robbery. Even this issue of, what is it called, one chance has come back to Lagos now.
Yeah,
People's
people being
phones are
adopted,
so,
yeah.
A lot of things going on in the state as far as security is concerned. And that's why, you know, I keep mentioning the name of the governor. He needs to step up. Governance is not just about occupying a seat or bearing the name of a governor. Oh, I'm the governor of the state. Governance is about the deliverables to the people. What are you able to deliver? And can the people, you know, again, governance is about perception. And perception comes from delivery. When people begin to see that, yes, there's a governor in the state, oh, he's very active, very proactive, not react. The things happen before you react. It is important that the governor needs to step up. The bar was reading very high under the Fashola administration. And that body, to some extent, was able to take it to another level. Under this administration, he needs to step up. He needs to step up. You know, it's unfortunate that, you know, when we talk about governance in Lagos State, people keep referring to Fashola. There's a reason why people keep talking about Fashola now. Because of his proactive nature. Because of his capacity to deliver. You will know that we had a governor. Look at the way he was able to sort out the problem of Oshodi. Obalende, things that have been left for too long as if it was unsolvable. That is governance at the best. And that is the level we expect anybody that rules the state of Lagos, you know, to perform at. You have to be at that level. Your capacity to deliver must be seen. You know, and I'm sorry that I'm being passionate about it this way. This is my state. Go to Lagos Island. The entire Lagos Island is under siege. You have miscreants, towns. You know, the state is also getting very decked. It's so uncoordinated, it's so disjointed. You know, the chairmen are not doing anything practically. Go into the inner street. The roads are terrible. The drainages are filled up. And we say it's a mega city, say.
Well, you can get more information on page 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. Final headline for this morning from Punch. We have here, panic in Ibadan communities as Mogaji seals 200 houses. Now, over 200 houses were said to have been sealed off on Wednesday at Moniya in Akinyele local government area of Oyo State by a Mogaji, laying claim to the ownership of the land. The Olubadan of Ibadan land, Obalekan Balogun, had recently warned all Mogajis and Bales not to resell any land or property already disposed of by their forebearers. For the sake of our time, summarily, we have compound heads who are now laying claim to properties or lands that have been sold off before, using their power to seal off people's houses and they've rendered a couple people homeless. And it just takes me to the conversation of, you know, traditional rulers and how much power they are entitled to. Who exactly reigns the, you know, community leaders and compounder? Who reigns them in? Who questions the decisions that they make regarding the people of the land? Honestly,
you know what? There's so much impunity now. You know, people just do things anyhow. Sometimes you even want to wonder if we're a nation governed by any form of law, or people are just law unto themselves. This is a traditional problem. I think the people of Ibadan and Oyo State.
And they also themselves. I knew that's what you're going to say. All right.
Let them run. We have too many things to deal with. If there's a mortgage stealing people's houses, people should also take support.
Moving forward, we're now checking the Guardian newspaper. Top story here: resurgence of killings threaten North Central State food production. 1,200 lives lost in North Central due to banditry, kidnapping, herdsmen, farmers, crisis. We have kidnappings 15 in Abuja, in Niger 8, in 4 months in Benue 300, in Nasarawa 250, in Niger 90, in Plateau 600, in Kwara 1, in Kogi 1. Fuad, let's read a part of the story before we get your contribution on the matter. My apologies, I'm trying to get the story. Fine. Yes. All right. So we have here, the resurgence of brutal killings in the North Central geopolitical zone, which increased since May 2023, claiming the lives of over 1,200 people within 3 months, have become a major threat to 28 trillion naira gross domestic product of the 6 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The National Bureau of Statistics puts the GDP of the 6 states in 2021 as 4.58 trillion for Niger, 4.27 trillion naira for Benue, amongst others. And the increase in banditry, kidnapping, and insurgents in this state has jeopardized activities in agriculture, tourism, hospitality, industry, amongst others, in the North Central in the last few weeks. So, Fuhad, not only is banditry interfering with the lives of people, is interfering with our general economy, because it's the collective, economy of the states that constitute our GDP in the long run. I don't even know the right questions to ask regarding insecurity in the North Central if we're recording 1,200 people dying in 3 months. And this is just the lives lost that are being accounted for. How about those that haven't been accounted for?
Well, see, this is a very big problem, another one that we have to deal with. I'm sure that about 60% of food produce, farm produce, food supply in Nigeria comes from the North Central states.
Yeah.
North Central particularly, Plateau, Benue, Taraba, Niger, and some of these states. And, if you have these numbers of persons killed, not because of diseases or natural disaster, but because of banditry, criminals, kidnappers, stopping farmers from going to their farms, raiding their farms. There's a video circulating on social media, again, yet to be verified, of a particular farmer who was said had challenged some herders to move their cattle from his farm, and his hand was chopped off. A very gory image, very terrible image that is circulating on social media. So when you have situations where the government is talking about food security, but that particular region that produces about 60% of your farm produce, you have farmers who are struggling, to farm in peace, then you can see that that's a very big problem that we quickly need to resolve. Again, it's not about deploying of troops. I keep saying it. Yeah. Yes, you can deploy troops, you can, deploy military personnel, but you need to look at the willingness to do the right thing. In Nigeria, we have to ensure that everybody is put on equal pedestal, that there's no favoritism of tribe or religion. And that's the best way to deal with the problem in the North Central, where people just begin to feel that they are second-class citizens. And that others, have some level of, superiority over them. They come out, commit crime, and nobody takes care of them. We are not seeing prosecution. Look at the one-ton level of killing that we've had. How many persons have been arrested and prosecuted? Since we'll be hearing of others former clashes in Nigeria.
Non-reported.
Not even about how many people have been prosecuted to even talk of conviction. It's a very big problem, and it will require the willingness of people in government to do the right thing. We've given different solutions to this elder farmer clashes. They talk about ranching. They talk about different solutions. But there are people who are still hell-bent on having the old order remain. And that's the problem. And it's not sustainable. You can't be roaming your cattle around different parts of the country. It's causing problems and we need to fix it.
Well, the front page of The Guardian, you find that story. More details on that particular story you would find on page 6 of The Guardian. Moving forward now, capsized oil rig operating illegally on Nigerian waters since 2016, says Nimasa. Lord have mercy. I'm so sorry for it. I am so shocked that is giving me. I am trying to. I'm like an analog computer right now. I'm just trying to boot properly because Seplat confirms collapse of majestic rig in Delta, killing one. Obere worries sympathizes with company owner mishap, but that's not the crooks. Those are the riders anyway. Now, the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency NIMASA yesterday disclosed that the oil rig, which capsized on Tuesday at Ovo in Warri, Delta State, had been operating on the nation's water illegally since 2016. This is according to a press statement by the head public relations of the agency, Osage Edward. He said the majestic rig belonging to Depthwise Nigeria Limited had been operating without requisite approvals from regulatory agencies. Fuad,
when did they discover that this oil rig was operating illegally?
Initial findings confirmed. That's what they wrote. So initial when? When is initial? Is what I don't understand.
You don't understand. Your initial findings confirmed that it's been operating in 2016.
Yes, without approval.
So how did anybody know that? For any findings to have revealed that it's been operating illegally for 2016, it means that their operations have been in the know of the authority.
Yes.
So why did they not do anything about
it? That one passed me. I don't know. I
just leave that at that question and let's just.
So it took a calamity for them to verify that it was operating illegally. So if that incident didn't happen, they would continue operations without said requisite approvals.
Maybe 2070.
Okay. Like Fuhad said, we're just going to leave that story at that. You have the information, do as you will with it. We have, process the information by yourself. Page 7 of the Guardian newspaper, we have that information. Let's talk about this headline here. Nigerians call for war volunteers. Sahel Alliance seek release of Bazoum. Okay. We have Nigerians have called for mass recruitment of volunteers to assist the army in the face of a growing threat by West Africa Regional Bloc ECOWAS, who insist on tighter sanctions and military invasion if the junta refuses to reinstate the deposed President Mohamed Bazoum. Fuhad, Niger is preparing for the possibility of an attack by ECOWAS countries.
Let's take the part of the Sahel warriors.
The Sahel Alliance are asking that they release. They're asking that they release Bazoum.
The Sahel Alliance, who are they? I have a reason for asking that.
That's just the description that was.
Okay, now let me tell you. This is it. You know, for people who have always said, why should Nigeria be part of this? It's not our business. It's our business. You know. But what we need to say is that how do we get involved? We need to know how we are going to get involved. But that we should not get involved is a no-no for me. It just are not understanding the international dimensions to this issue.
Fuhad, I'm sorry.
The reality is that...
Yes, they're giving us that Sahel Alliance is an international coordination platform for stability and development in G5 Sahel countries. That's Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, and Chad. Those are the countries that constitutes the Sahel Alliance.
Now, let me tell you something. Although President Mohamed Bazoum is from a tribe that is like the most minority in Niger Republic, but it's important for us to pay attention to how he was able to win the election in 2021, taking over about 56% of the votes. If we are not careful and this issue is not quickly resolved, that country will descend into a civil war. There are different ethnic groups there. You have the Hausas, you have the Tuareg, you have the Shua Arabs, you have a lot of ethnic groups in that country, and all of them with their different peculiarities. The reality is that, look, the Arabs, the Arabian part of Niger Republic, where President Bazoum comes from, have their different alliances. The alliances even date back to their relationship with the Tuareg of the Sahara Desert. And if we are not careful, the international community, if you allow this to remain without people resolving it, the international community will come in and we are going to see a situation where a replication of Libya, a repeat of what is now happening in Libya, would happen in Niger Republic. The problem for Nigeria is that, look, if there's a big humanitarian crisis in Niger, the refugee crisis will affect us more than any other country in West Africa. We have 7 states sharing borders with them.
Yes.
Those borders are very porous. We will not be able to stop an influx of migrants into Nigeria. And that would, and we are still talking about terrorism.
Right.
It's not only people who are desperate to survive that will come in. Criminals will also come in with them. So we need to pay attention and fix the problem in Niger Republic.
Page 2 of the Guardian newspaper, that is where you find details of that story. Moving forward, we don't have time anymore, but luckily all the other headlines we have been able to address earlier on, but I will still do us the courtesy of reading the headlines that we have on the front pages of the Vanguard newspaper and The Nation. For the Vanguard newspaper, the top story, Wike Umahi Edu gets FCT works, finance ministries. Naira appreciates as NNPCL boosts forex supply with $3 billion loan. Also here, 63.84 trillion naira Nigerian crude oil was stolen in the last decade. Sanusi to Nigerians, do not allow president, governors to intimidate you. That is it for Vanguard newspaper. And finally, for The Nation, the headlines here, key portfolios for Edun, Alake, Oyetola, Fagbemi, Adelabu. Ahead Monday's inauguration, president assigns duties to ministers designate. Also here, tight security mounted to prevent attack on railways. We also have NNPCL $3 billion buffer to strengthen Naira, stabilize exchange rate. Chidoka, PDP will collapse if not reformed. APC growing, says Ganduje. And that's about it for trends in the papers. Thank you so very much for your participation. Fuhad, we appreciate your analysis on these story. We're going to go on a break right now. 8:40, we'll be back, of course, for Mainland Focus. It's open mic Thursday. All right, you can talk about any story that you wish to address. Consider yourself our analyst for the day. All right, you can refer back to any of the stories that we analyzed during trends in the papers, or you could bring back a particular event that you want to shed more light on. My name is Sage Babalola. This, of course, is Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Please stay with us.